All right, so we're here at Stories from the Summit, Apogee Stories from the Summit once again, and this time we have the amazing Madison and Curry Fattig from Apogee League City East joining us as always with Mr. Matt Beaudreau, the man on a mission who has helped so many people to start schools all over the United States. But we're super excited to have Apogee League City East here in particular, and I'm not just saying that because my son goes there, and because last night he prayed and thanked God that he got to go to school, which I never thought would happen ever in my life. And before you think that's just because they give him candy and don't work, my son also laid out a business plan for me of why I should buy a 3D printer and how he was going to make $1 million before he's 11. And that's powerful, guys. So this means more to me than most because I'm watching my own son say things like, "Oh yeah, well you couldn't do that and be a man of integrity, huh, Dad?" Or brush his own teeth for the first time in his life because, well, I want to be self-reliant. And if you have to tell me to brush my teeth, I'm not very self-reliant, am I, Dad? So I just want to start this off with a huge thank you for what I'm seeing happen in my son. And it has to come from someone else. I think that he couldn't learn some of this from just me or mom. And so I'm super grateful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're grateful too. Thank you guys for paving the way.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Man, like that right there, that's it. So I'm not a crying guy, but if I, every once in a while, and it always comes through Apogee, it would, I can tell if my eyes did that, it would do it now, right? Like it's those kinds of things. And I'll tell you too, I mean, I get these texts from Kev, and I want you two to understand the impact right there because it is so easy to get so caught up in, dude, this is hard. And there's all like we see the problems, but man, you gotta know the impact right there. It doesn't make the problems go away, but then you understand why the problems aren't as big a deal when you see the impact that's being made. I just, you guys, man, it is such a big deal, and it's a testament to your leadership. So same thing on this side, man. Just grateful,
Yeah,
grateful for who you guys are.
absolutely, man. We always tell the parents the exact same thing that when we hear those stories from them, that we make it known to them that that is our greatest fuel to keep doing what we're
Mhm.
doing.
That's what we're here for.
And that's what keeps us pushing even harder every single day, is hearing the magic that happens when they leave here and go home to their families, man. And so we appreciate it. We're always welcome to hear words like that, and appreciate both of you guys for giving us all the support we need on the way.
So
So,
good, man.
because I only have one kid in school, this will be the only time that your story is also my story. But to get started on the right foot here, tell me, like, give me like the quick hit backstory of like, how did you find your way to Apogee and opening your own school? Like, I mean, that to a lot of people, when Matt first told me that, he's like, yeah, people are going to open their own schools. I thought, man, that sounds crazy. What is that? Like, how'd you guys get here, and how are you so successful at what you're doing?
I wake up and I ask Madison that every single day. It's man, I'll try to keep it short and sweet for you guys. Man, it all started probably about it, I'd say a year before COVID. So Madison's been a public school teacher for 8 years prior to starting our campus. And I mean, teaching, as we all know, is an incredibly stressful job. The work that gets piled on them, the responsibilities, and it, I saw that coming home from her every single day. And it she was way too passionate and way too good of a teacher to be stuck in that system. And so I would see her coming home every day and what she's having to deal with, and you know I kind of saw our family going down a road at that point in time. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to see what this looks like in 10, 15 years. Um, and like I said, she's way too good of a teacher to be stuck in a place that's not even really letting her do much teaching or guiding. And so I began to kind of just casually look at other options, and there were some neat places, but nothing enough for me to really want to pull the trigger on something. And then I heard Tim talk about his school in on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I immediately Googled it up, read about it, and it it hit home. And I immediately showed Madison. I was like, look at this one. Like this is different. This feels right. And she thought the exact same thing. probably, I don't know, a couple weeks later, we're
Yeah.
driving up to Cedar Park to meet with them and talk with them and just kind of get some information. And we were planning on actually moving up there and having her work there, and had it all laid out. But unfortunately, my job at the time wouldn't let me transfer and relocate. So we put that on the back burner. But shortly after, when I heard about the Apogee program and the opportunity to open our own campus, I jumped all over it. And I was like, let's do it. And it is a crazy decision. And like I said, I wake up every morning like, what are we doing? But it was also the clearest decision that I've ever made, if that makes any sense. There was very little um, back and forth about it. It felt
Yeah.
so much more of like a need, than just a want. It was like this needs to happen. And so after there was not much conversation in opening the campus. It's like, we're doing this and we're gonna figure it out and make it happen. So that's
Yeah, so
long
we've
story
let her
short.
just
Yeah, yeah.
like we're doing it.
It started with Madison, and then the more I learned, we had a 4-year-old at the time coming up to that school age, and we've enjoyed way too much watching him grow up to be the amazing, adventurous, do it myself kind of kid that he is. And so it became about him as well. And then the more we learned, it just became about all kids and all families. So it started with Madison and grew from there.
I want to say something real quick, man. I'll tell you why, because I've gotten to know both of you, but I've obviously gotten to know, Kerr. I've gotten to know you better over this journey, and partially because you've also been in, on the men's side, and we've been diving in on things together. And we're getting ready to have a live event here pretty soon, and there's a whole new level of. I'll tell you, like I can't wait. There's a whole new level of relationship that comes out of that too. There is a level of trust. Like I love you guys dearly, and I trust you guys. I trust you guys across the board. There is a different level of trust that comes out of these live events too, where I'm confident. I'll walk out and be like, hey, I can look at my family and go, if I'm gone, God's like, hey man, you're out of here tomorrow. I would trust you guys enough. If he said, hey, your family's got to go be taken care of by them, I'll be like, okay, yep, we're good. Right? I know that's the level of trust that's going to come out. What I've seen from you, Curry, it's so cool. I love the way you've been describing this whole thing because you've come into that men's program with the intention to grow for yourself, but in order to lead and serve others. Even as you just described all of that right there, you're like, I see what's going on with this woman that I love so much, and I want to find an opportunity for her to be able to be the best version. I see this 4-year-old over here, and I've got to go, okay, what's the best? How do I get to the best version over here? Now I've got all these other kids, and it's that leadership right there. It's like you wanted to grow so that you could serve and pour that into other humans, man. I want to acknowledge that, and I'm really grateful for that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And I honestly think that's something that is deep down in everybody. And I think it's just so much harder for some other people to find. But fortunately, it's something that I've been craving my entire life and never had the opportunity to really explore and dive into it. So that was a big part of where Apogee came in and helped pull that out of me and can't be more appreciative.
That's awesome. And then that beautiful woman next to you too, same thing. I remember, man, I remember her last day. I remember your last day. I remember pictures from text messages from your last day, right? Working in the public sector, and you just know, but and like the 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 tough emotions that come from a last thing, but it being offset by the new thing and pushing in. I mean, again, just so dang proud of you guys. So, Kev, I know we got more questions than that
Oh no,
too,
no,
but
yeah, but what did
I
that
love
feel
these
like,
humans.
Madison? Before we just blow over the answer to the question, you asked a really good question in your statement, which is how'd that feel to leave the public sector to come into doing your
Yeah,
own thing? Like I'm really curious to hear that.
It was a really bittersweet thing, honestly. I mean, I grew up always wanting to be a teacher. I was 9 years old, playing school in the summertime. My closet was a classroom. Like that's what I wanted to do my whole entire life. And so, I went after it, and I was a teacher for 8 years, and then slowly that passion started to not the passion, the joy started to get kind of sucked out of it a little bit because I wasn't able to do what I came in it to do, to inspire, to be a positive role model, to guide kids in the way they deserved. And so that last year, the year that I left was tough because I had the kids from the previous year again. And so I'd already had really close relationships with a lot of their families and the children themselves. And so it was tough leaving them. The part of me is like, I'm letting you guys down by leaving you. And so that was tough, but you had many conversations with them about that. I hope that if you have an opportunity that kind of sets your soul on fire, that you do it. And so this is me kind of leading by example. It's not going to be an easy thing, and it's hard. But I hope you take that leap on yourself too, when you find something that you're passionate about. And so uh, it was tough because I loved the school that I was at and all the kids and everything, but it was just the problem was bigger than me and bigger than the school itself. So, but yeah.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that because I want to put something at ease here. Is there a war between Apogee and the public school system? And do you think all the people you used to work with are horrible people because they didn't leave with you?
No, absolutely not. And I feel like I always have to disclaimer that because I loved the school that I was at. If I was going to stay in public school, that is a school that I would be at until probably past retirement. So it wasn't about the school itself or the people that I worked with or the administration. I really believe that majority of teachers, like myself, go into it for the right reasons. They want to change the world, but like I said, it's kind of bigger than anything. They go to the best intentions and do what they can with the resources and, you know, flexibility or lack thereof that they have. And so I really do commend them. We need good people in those roles. I couldn't do it.
And as a shout out, since I talked about the fifth of my kids, the other four went to public school. They're all in scholarship in college and killing it, thanks to public school teachers. And I think it is a way that is needed. And I'm so glad there's great people in those systems. Those systems have changed massively from when we were younger. And unfortunately, the system is soaking a lot of life out of a lot of great people. But I just want to make sure it's said, hey, we love education in all forms any way that it can work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, man. We're still trying to. I mean, we want to keep those close relationships to, staff and administration in public school. I mean, public school still has good things to offer as far as extracurriculars and sports and things like that go. I mean, I was a baseball player and I played all through high school, and that was very, very important to me. And so I know, I mean, that's a deep love for a lot of kids, and so we want to keep those relationships in line because we would love for our kids to be able to go play sports in local school districts and things like that. And so we're doing everything we can to keep the relationship strong with the right people in any place.
Love it.
So let me ask you real quick to just brag for a second. If you look back across the whole journey, right? And I'm going to brag for you because besides the fact that you were devastated that you couldn't move to a place to be a part of a school that now you have a school that's bigger than, I just want to put that out there. Just for the record, that would be like if I was going to brag, I might you're not going to brag that way, so I'm going to brag for you. But like if you just hey, what is the biggest win you guys have had? Like if you look back on this journey,
Mm.
what's the biggest win you see?
I'll let you think about the school part. If we have a big win for the school, that's a whole other. But so much that led to
Yeah.
where we are now and what made us so successful. But I think the biggest win that we've had so far really is just opening the school and not, I mean, yes, for the relationships and like the relationships and community we've cultivated here, finding a bunch of like-minded families that want the same things for their children, that we also can grow alongside them as we're pursuing our own personal growth. But really what it's just done for our family. Our family is closer and stronger than ever, literally and figuratively, as we spend every day together. We have our 5-year-old here with us too, so this is a whole family endeavor, and that's a beautiful gift, for us as parents, that we don't have to miss a beat, like with our son. And with our son on the way too, we'll have our first Apogee baby that'll be coming here and being raised by the whole Apogee crew. So it's nice to be able to have like our family together all the time and really getting to share this journey with each other too. I mean,
Hmm.
we're best friends, so it's cool to be able to tackle our dreams together. So
Yeah, definitely getting open. I think the biggest oh man, call it luck. I don't know, but the founding families that we landed couldn't have asked for better people. I mean, could not have asked for better people. It's the perfect crop of kids and families from all over the area that have just flocked right here, and it's the coolest thing. And seeing uh, the stories that we hear from parents and kids going home and talking about how they're figuring out how much protein they got in their meal and planning their workout and making their business plans, and it's that piece that we're integrating and connecting into the fabric of family life that really is the big win for us, because that was our main goal uh, in opening our campus, was to really make it about the family. And so hearing those stories and getting as close as we can to so many amazing parents is the biggest win for me, for sure.
Brother, that is the what you guys are talking about, man. It's um you know, there's a lot of cliches around magnetic personalities and all. Look, the reality is we're all a magnet of some sort. We all have a magnetic personality, whether that's a big personality, whether it's a small personality, whether it's a genuine, integrity filled personality, whether it goes. We all have a magnetic personality. It means we pull and attract things that are like us. We also inherently, this is what magnets do, repel the things that are not, and that's okay. That's how we're designed, right? But it is what we tend to do as humans. The default, it's not the default setting, but it's something we default learn. I think in culture is we figure out ways to put things in front of the magnet that we have, whatever that is, right? When we are willing to just go, hey, here's who we are, here's what we're doing. This come hell or high water. This is what we got going on. This is who we are. We'd love for you to join us. We're going to do this together. You will attract those people. That's what you guys have done, and there's something special about that. You guys are just like, look, we're not going to put anything, in front. We're just going to let that go. And the part about you guys being able to do that as a family, I remember early on, one of the things I got was like, but you're going to be with your kids all day. Isn't that hard? You're going to be with your kids all day. As if that was a bad thing. I'm like, man, that's the design. That's the design. And now, like looking at, I could not I get why some people can't have that or don't have that yet, but gosh, I can't imagine living life any other way. So what a gift. What a gift that starts in here. You've given it to so many and it gives back in here. I think that's just freaking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, speaking of this new turf, I was out here an hour ago getting a workout in while my 5-year-old was jumping around with me, and that could have never happened before. And so
That's
it's,
right, man.
yeah,
That's
and the
right.
new boy we have on the way, dude, is going to be raised by a bunch of friggin' crazy 4 to 13-year-olds in there right now, being passed
That are
around,
gonna
and
love
yep,
totally
he's going to be
gonna love
surrounded
them to
by
death.
so many people who love him every single day, and it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Good old baby Matthew. Sorry.
So, as you guys,
Maybe a middle name.
as you guys know, as you guys know, we live by a code, right? The Apogee code, which is the Bushido code. We didn't make it up. We just maintain it. Integrity, bravery, compassion, honesty, honor, politeness, loyalty, right? If you had to say like, hey, what is the piece of the code that you clung to the most, or was the most important thing for you along, and each of you, not collectively, but each of you, uh, what was that piece? What was the thing that you think is the most important piece of the code on your journey to create Apogee League City East?
Hmm.
Babe.
uh, Specifically on our journey to create this campus, um, for me, it was loyalty with a little dash of bravery, I would say. I really
Mm.
hung to when we started this, man. Like I said, there wasn't much conversation to it. It's like, we're doing this, let's go. And I knew going in that I'm essentially digging myself into a hole, right? I mean, like we sold our house, we spent all our money, we put everything we had in here. I dug my family into a hole, and I was like, the only way out is through this hole. I'm going in, and the only way I'm going to get out is if I stick to this and put everything I have into it, and I stay loyal to the mission and the work. and dig myself out of it. And so that's, I think, loyalty to what we're doing here and the people and the work and my family. Um, and then having the bravery to make all the tough decisions along the way uh, has been, for me at least, the two kind of biggest parts of the code that I've really hung on to during this journey.
Yeah, and I would say too, even though he dug the hole, I happily jumped in and would really leaned into that loyalty and bravery too. It makes me think about being on this journey. Like you said, there's a lot of hard decisions, and you kind of have to keep taking that next step, and kind of trust the process and continue going forward. And it took me back to this time where my brother and I had gone kayaking, and we were far from where we had launched in, and we see storm clouds rolling in, and we were like, we probably start heading back soon. And the rain and wind caught us before we could get that far, and so now we're in the canal just paddling and paddling, and the rain's pouring, the wind is blowing, and you're at that moment where it's like, man, this is my body, my back's hurting now, like I'm just ready to be back to where we were. And I wanted to stop, but don't really got an option to stop, because then you're gonna be pushed back even more. And so it kind of reminds me of this journey, this process too, kind of having that loyalty and having to commit to the process and pushing through when things get hard, because you can't stop. You kind of got, the only way through it is through it. And so just kind of have that loyalty and bravery to keep making that next step, or that next paddle, no matter how hard it can be sometimes.
Icing into the storm, man.
Yeah, man, what a day.
Really good. Really good. Go for it, Kev.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing. In this journey, right, you're not alone. That's one of the cool parts of Apogee is what I've seen is 100 people moving in the same direction, right, to cure education, to be educators, and yet in 100 different directions, right? It's over 100. I'm just saying 100, but it's so interesting to see the common thread of raising free and sovereign children and educating them, not schooling them. Like, hey, and I love that. But then every campus is so unique and so different. Such a great fit, for the people it's a fit for. If you look at the network, what would you think is the biggest benefit you've got from being in that network, that bigger network of people,
Mm,
through your journey in founding this school?
mm,
I think I would just say, like, really the collaboration piece. I think we're all better when we work together and put our minds together. So, there's not one right way to do something. So, every school can run uniquely different in their own way. But I think having that place where we can share ideas, it's like, man, oh, I love that piece, but I think I want to tweak it a little bit to do this, or maybe that idea sparked a new one in me that I didn't have until I heard someone say that. So I think just having that Apogee affiliate community as a resource has been a godsend, because I mean we are learning from each other's successes as well as each other's mistakes, and it's nice to not have to make all the mistakes to be able to learn from other people. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah, there's no way in hell I could have opened a school without without you guys, man. I would have no clue. I would not even know where to start. But yeah, the collaboration and just I think being around a bunch of very
mm,
devoted, hardworking,
mm,
mission-driven people. Um,
mm,
I this is something that I've kind of felt and learned excuse me, going through the Apogee Men's program. Um, and I think I made a post about it one day on there, was that I feel it's gotten easier to do the right thing
mhm,
when you're just surrounded by that every day, and it's virtual. And so, but even going into workplace and going into the CRM and just kind of flipping through and seeing the conversations happen, and even if I'm not directly participating, but just putting that in my head every single day, I noticed
Mm.
it's easier to make the right decision. It's easier to
Yep.
do the right thing. It's easier to get that extra workout in. It's easier to make that healthy dinner. It's easier to put down the phone and go play with my kids. It's all those things have gotten just a little bit easier, um, which I think has provided a huge benefit.
It That is such a that's such a powerful concept, man. Both of what everything that you both laid out, they're two separate things and they're two the exactly the same things, right? This collaborative piece, this identity piece, and they very much weave in and out of one another. You know, they very much do because that collaboration allows you to stay surrounded by all of that and it just becomes the habit of who you have become and it's the habit of who you are and then you're pouring back in and you're raising the bar for everybody else in that collaboration, right? And it's just setting that standard to be exactly that. It's exactly what it is. You know, we just had Craig Ballantyne come in a couple weeks ago and was talking to the men and you know he was talking about this concept of identity and saying, look, when you identify with something so strongly, you actually get to the point where discipline itself, in terms of like, ooh, I've got to be disciplined and I've got to have a willpower, like that's not even necessary anymore because you just identify this is just the way it is. It's just this, you know. And I use the example of this isn't like a, oh, look how cool, because I'm a mess, but I've never had alcohol, right? And I went to the number one party school, according to Playboy, the number one party school in America, right? So alcohol was everywhere, but it wasn't even tempting. Like it wasn't even a temptation because I already identified as somebody who just didn't drink. Like that was just so it wasn't even a temptation, right? And so same thing, like as you start to weave in and you're around this kind of community and you start to show up and your identity is just we're going to do the right thing because it's the right thing because the code is just woven into who we are. The temptation, quote unquote, to do anything outside of that, it's just like I mean that's not me, you know. And then that's who we get to raise up
Yeah.
is leaders who walk in and they're the same thing. They're just like, well, that's just not what leaders do. It's not what Apogee people do. So I like that's not even a temptation, you know. I love both of those answers. I think it goes so well together.
And I love that we get to start, guiding kids that way from, we have kids early as 4 here and even like our son too, but all the
Yeah.
kids here that they're learning that as the way, not having to unlearn behaviors. That is just how you're going to be raised. And man, I wish that was me. Like I wish I could have had that from the get go.
Me too. Me too.
Love you, mom and
Me
dad, though.
too.
I'm not saying anything. It's
Me too.
still
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah,
Well,
and
you know what's interesting for me, and this is I can't not be a parent on this call, so I'm just going to be a parent. It is what it is. My son and a kid from school were playing, I think Fortnite or some game together online after school, and there's a scenario where the kid rage quits and blocks my son. He comes in, he's crying. And what I love about this certain scenario that I could never have done before, because unlike Matt and you guys who are like, I can't imagine not being with my kids all day. I'm cool. I love that Liam goes and has that experience, and I love that I can work and do my thing, and he can like. There's wonderful people like you in the world. We're cool with that. Like when we'll be on a trip next week, and he'll be like homeschooled for the week, and he'll be like, man, when am I going back to school? Like we like that little bit of separation, right? But I love that I could say, well, man, you're going to see him at school tomorrow, right? Like this is real world. He's like, well, what do I do? I'm like, well, what do you think you should do? And well, I think you should just talk to him. Or, well, what if he doesn't like me? Or what? Well, cool. Then just talk to him. Talk to Miss Madison. Talk to Mr. Kerr. I love that we're sending them to an environment where, like, them figuring out that social thing that happened, which they did, and like the next weekend he was at our house and we went to the beach together. No big deal. But
Mhm.
that's as much a part of the curriculum of the school is having those powerful conversations is as important as
Mhm.
division and multiplication, which let's be honest, the last time I divided without the supercomputer in my pocket, it's been a long time, right? But I love that you guys create a school where those kinds of bonds matter also.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. We make sure every parent come in here knows that, and it's like, I mean, traditional school will have 100% academics, right? I mean, we cut that well below half, but we're learning so many other real world skills and activities. And it's so cool. The thing that I was telling you earlier, Matt, um, about how it's easier to make the right decision.
Mhm.
It's cool because now I'm seeing it happen inside this building, the exact same thing. Simply from the environment. That's all it is. The environment that we created and the our amazing guys that we have in there, and me and Madison, and the uh, way that we carry ourselves, and that the older kids start to pick up on, and then the younger kids start to pick up on. It's it's simply an environment of, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is how we handle things, and everything just kind of follows suit. And I mean, it's well, we had, I mean, when we started, I mean, it got rough at times. I mean, kids would get after it, you know, and
Yep.
by the end of the day, they're best friends. It was the coolest thing in the world. Like, you're in your face, screaming, yelling at each other, and then end of the day, walking out of here like they're best friends. And it's the coolest thing ever, because that would have never happened in any other school environment. And the best part is, we walk up to their parents and say it, and they're like, they're right there with us. They're right there
Yeah.
with us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, man.
That's the benefit of being able to focus on that character piece
Mhm.
first over the academics. We see a need here for, without that grit and perseverance and effort and motivation, I mean, once you have those things, you can learn anything you want to learn. But until you have that character piece locked down, it's going to be a tough road for you, So that making that the first things first, and so it's been cool seeing them rise to that occasion. So
Bingo.
yeah.
Man, you hit on like the um the amount of people that we will talk to, and not even just about Apogee, just in general in life, and the amount of people that are, my age or even older, like Kevin, right? Or like we we talk to these people, and it's like, oh, I long for the days when it was like there was smaller tribes, there were tight knit families, all the families grew up together, and the kids could just kind of figure stuff out together, and the adults would figure stuff out, and it was like the whole every it takes a village thing actually meant something because you knew who was in your village, and it was okay for the adults and the kids to talk and all that. Oh, God, I miss that. Okay, cool. That's what is being built right here. That's it. Like, it is this. And it's like, oh, but I gotta go to school because I gotta disconnect from that. No, dude, that is it. You have that right there. And people you guys are doing school in a new way. I'm like, nah, we're doing it in the way it was before. This experiment. Like, this is the way it's always been, is like this. And so we're just going back to that.
Yeah,
That's all it is. It really is, man.
a bunch of amazing people working together. That's, I mean,
Hmm.
that's as simple as I
Right.
can put it. It's a bunch of
It's
awesome
as
people in
simple
this
as you can put it.
building, and
It's as
hey, we're
simple as
all
it is.
we're all working together.
100%.
Speaking of amazing, I just have to say this for everyone who's watching this. There's no filter behind Madison and Curry. They're just that good looking. They actually their hairlines are so straight and tight that it looks like that's an imaginary. But I've sat right where they're sitting. I didn't look that good sitting there. I'm going to be really real with you. But talking about amazing, I just want to say that to our viewers. There's no fake background. Yep, they just look that good.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you though, guys,
And
if
Kevin
there's
just looks
one.
like that.
Yeah, I also just look like this. Also, is not a filter. Amazingly, this is not that my beard decided to go its own way filter. Uh, probably could be a great one for my kids to play with it late at night. But so here's my question though: what's something like a truth bomb? Something that happened to you? Either it could be an Apogee man, Apogee woman. It could be as an affiliate. It could be at your own school. That's what's cool about Apogees. It's so broad that it really is education for everyone. Right, we all, it's funny because if I said I'm in 49th grade, that wouldn't make any sense. But then you think, well, why did I stop learning when I'm 18? That also makes no sense. Like, of course, we all expand. But if there was anything you wanted to tell people, like you wish the rest of the world knew a revelation or some kind of, insight that you've had through your journey here with Apogee and opening the school that you wish everybody knew. It's like, hey,
Mm,
what this is what I wish everybody knew that I've learned doing
mm,
this. What would that be?
I would say that the current way of life for so many people isn't the only way. Uh, and it sounds obvious, but I think it sounds obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me for the longest time. Uh, you know, but also to add to that, no one is going to come change it for you but yourself. So
Mhm.
if and that doesn't pertain to just school age kids or any, I mean, you could be a 50, 60-year-old man in the way you're living. If you don't like it, it doesn't have to be that way.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that's a truth bomb that a lot of people could hear, and I think probably need to sit with for a while. Um, but yeah, that was the biggest kind of realization that I had that really allowed me to put it on my shoulders and say, "Let's go."
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be this way.
Man, I want to hear what you have to say, Madison. I have something I want to say on that. I'm sure I'm gonna have something I want to say on yours too, and it's a issue with myself because I just can't not chime in on stuff. But Madison, ladies first.
I was gonna just piggyback a little bit off of what Curry said. I'm not sure if I'll be able to articulate this the best way because it was just like a recent shower aha moment that I had, and I'm still kind of sitting sitting with it. But very similarly to what he said about that things don't have to be this way, the way they've always been. And it took me a while because again, like I said, with my history of just I've always wanted to be a teacher. I had I had a clear vision of this path that I wanted to take. This is how you did things, and I did those things, and I kind of taught what I was supposed to teach when I was supposed to teach it, and kind of followed what I was supposed to do. And then with opening Apogee, when there is no true blueprint, right? It comes down to there's many right ways to do something. Um, it really kind of enlightened in me how much I kind of relied on that in the past, where now I'm kind of paving my own way. I'm not just putting coast on and cruising. I'm having to be very intentional with well, what do I really want? What is really our vision for this? Because there is no one saying, well, that is the right one way
Mm.
to do it. And so just I guess like the realization of just having to getting to listen to myself more, what I want for my life, and taking that action to do it. If that makes sense. I'm still kind of still kind of simmering on that.
It makes it complete sense because what you basically just said was, "Oh, hey, freedom." Right? And freedom is that word that everybody loves to talk about, loves to pontificate about, loves to point to and talk about how they wish they could. But the reality is, most people, I think, are very much afraid of freedom. Even though it's a factory setting of something we want, we're afraid of it because it comes with exactly what you just said, Madison. You have to go, what do I want? And then you got to follow that up with what Curry said of, and nobody's going to give it to me, and I've got to do that, right? It is such an easier thing to follow along this path of like, well, um, I'm going to just react to everything. And then you react to everything and you call it fate. You get used to something and it's familiar, but because it's familiar, you call it true. Right? And none of those are real. Your reactions are not fate. Familiarity is not truth. You've got to sit there and wrestle with those things yourself and then go lay it out and go take it, all the imperfections that go along with that. But it's only through that refinement process where all these cliches of iron sharpening iron and all that, that's the only place they actually come through. Like that's it. So I think what you said, I think what you both said again. I mean, two different things, but two very much the same things right there. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of the things I love about Apogee, and one of the things that I'm again, I'm just going to be a parent. That's what I am on this call. Like my oldest four kids, we are a blended family, so we had divorce. I traveled 18 hours every other weekend to be a part of their lives, right? It was hard, and I was so excited to have my own kid with my wife in our house so we didn't have to drive. And we're 40 minutes one way from your school, and I'm driving almost the same amount of miles to bring him to school. I've just never been so happy about it. Like it's it's crazy to me that I don't have any like that drive as much as if I wanted to go to Top Golf, which is about the same distance, I'd be like, not worth it. But every day for school is, my wife's doing it for the second time today, right now, so we can be on this thing. Like that's cool to me because it is too far and we don't care because it's worth it for him. The second thing is I am standing in Galveston Island on Galveston Island right now. I'm literally looking at a bank that the Rockefellers built because they used to live here. Like this is where they would summer, right? They'd come hang out. So I'm looking and when I think of people who start schools, that fits. The guy owns banks and he owns all the steel in the world or all the oil in the world. Like that fits. And what has blown me away about the Apogee community is seeing it's not the Rockefellers, right? It's Curry and Madison 45 minutes away who have decided, hey, you know what? The Rockefellers aren't coming to save us. We need to create this local solution. So
Mhm.
so my question behind all of that is like I don't know what the question is. I'm just so damn impressed. There is no question. It's just I'm just so damn impressed that somebody could say, I guess why you?
Mm.
Why you? Like why? Because the thing is, as watched family after family start a school that really matters, and this is my kid's second Apogee school he's going to. Second time I said you're going to go to one day and it's too far, no way we're driving. Second time we're doing all the driving, right? And I'm like, okay, like Rockefeller's easy. We have all the money and we want to influence how everybody thinks and blah blah blah. But for you guys, why you?
Mm.
Why you? Why now?
Well, first off, I would say about bringing your son down here, that shows making that 40-minute drive, that shows that your love for him and your commitment to wanting to do what's best for him. So, and we appreciate your commitment too, and that y'all are doing that for him. I know he appreciates it also. So I just want to say that. But I think why us, if I'm understanding your question correctly, is um I I have like our heart for it. I just really believe like every kid that comes in here when I sit down and I talk to parents when they're wanting to potentially look into Apogee. It's like I understand your whole entire world is in here. My whole entire world is in here, and you want to send your child somewhere where you know that they are going to be loved and safe and guided and talked to with respect and compassion and understanding and patience. You It's a big trust to put into somebody else to take care of something that is so special to you. um, and as a mom that felt that same way at one point sending our son to daycare, that is a very hard thing, and I just try to show them through our conversations of how much I'm committed to, or we are committed to, treating your children as like you're like our world too. Like I know how special they are, and so I believe that parents feel that commitment and sincerity when I speak about that, because I'm us mamas, I know dads too, but we love our babies fiercely, and so it's a big ask, and I don't want this to be this to be a choice they have to question. They can leave here and not worry about their kid
Mm.
all day and know that they're in good, loving hands. And so that's why I feel like it's us. We believe that for every single child and want that for every single child. Um, yeah.
Mm.
So okay, you're a mother and an 8-year educator, like obviously lifelong educator. All right, why you is easy. Curry, why you? You're
Well,
more interesting
yeah.
to me. Not because Madison's not more interesting, but because like you don't make sense. I heard your story. You had a job. You had it all figured out. Like apparently you were paying the bills because you didn't leave in order to keep the money. Like why you?
Man, as I'm hearing Madison tell her answer, I'm kind of thinking back and reflecting on exactly what you just asked, and it's really, man, it's really, it's funny how things work out. Sometimes it's a very, it's kind of mind blowing to me now that I think about it, how beautifully this came about. Because uh, for me, I've craved something like this for my entire life. Like I mentioned, my 4 or 5-year-old now. that do-it-yourself kind of kid where he just marches to the beat of his own drum, and he's gonna do what he does and say what he says, and there's very little I can do about it. I was that same kid, man, and I craved that freedom from such a young age. I mean, I would literally walk out of my house as a 4-year-old and just not tell a soul and just go. Just walk into my neighbors' houses, and my parents tried to send me to my room, and I'm like, no. I'd jump out my window, a 4-year-old kid, and I would go to my neighbor's house that I least thought they were gonna call, and of course, I'm right back in my room. But that was me, man. That was me to my core. Before I was touched by anybody. That's who I was down to my core. I was craving to get out there and adventure, and had the willingness to just figure it out on my own. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just wanted to figure it out. I wanted to make my own path. Um, the problem was that I never got really the opportunity to do so. I got put into public school, and then the demand and the control, it grew, and that slowly withered away. And I was a pretty anxious kid throughout my entire life, trying to figure out why. And then Apogee helped me realize that that was why I never had that opportunity, and so I had that craving deep down inside of me to um, make my own path, and make my own life, and do my own thing, and provide for my family. And that's been inside of me my entire life. And so it just happened so beautifully because I got to satisfy that at the same time Madison gets to satisfy her passion to educate and guide kids. And so um, just kind of how it worked out for both of us.
So you've always longed for something more. So you've
Yeah.
gone from different jobs, opportunities, and we'd always have conversations of like there's something inside that you're just wanting more. You want more of a
Mhm.
finding a true purpose, and you never felt settled or content. And so I think
Yeah.
that attitude of never feeling content is really what led us
Hmm.
here. Of you
Yeah.
not
I
you feeling
chased
complacent
I
or
chased grades throughout school. Uh, I thought that was it. And then after I got out of school, I chased money because I thought that was it. And I got all of those things, and it wasn't it. It wasn't until I got rid of all that that really, I guess, made me feel free.
It's so fun, man. Watching like I'm not I'm definitely older than both of you, and I know that, and I know about how old each one of you are. I'm not old enough to be dad, even though I look like I could be that old, and that much older than you. Um, but it's so cool listening to both because I'm like, I got this dad pride here in listening to both sides because I go, like, like when you see it, and you guys have already started to see it, I'm sure, where you're like, ooh, I see that because I was like that, and you see like yourself, at a younger age, you see that. There's both of those stories right there, like the the conversations with parents of like, look, I am doing this as a fierce parent who wants nothing more than this for my own kids. And by the way, I'm going to take care of yours to that same level because I know you feel the same, right? As like what Madison was laying out. Man, I feel like those were the conversations I had the entire time building any campus was like, look, this is it. I'm building this because I need it for my kids and I love them so much. I would not do anything different. And by the way, I'll never, and I used to say this to parents in open house, by the way, I will never love your children as much as I love my own children. But, but I will love your children so fiercely that you won't have to worry when you drop them off. Right. And so like Madison laying that part out and then Curry, the being the 4-year-old that's like, here, double birdies, I'm out the window
Yeah.
and I need
Peace.
freedom. Like it's not even, dude, it's not a suggestion. Like I'm like a freedom outlaw. Like it's just gonna sorry, it's just in the blood. Again, I feel that so
Yeah.
much. So like there's so much pride listening to both of those, man. Just so much dad pride right there, even though I have nothing to do with it.
So as usual, we could probably talk for 10 hours, guys, and I want to, but no one will watch for 10 hours, and we have a school to run, and we have a business to run. And so here's my last question for you guys. If you could each answer this question for me. if you were talking to someone right now who maybe feels that call, maybe they have that itch, or maybe they have that, whoa, is this possible? Like maybe I want to start a school. Maybe I want to do something different. Maybe I want to be a part of a solution, right? If you were talking to that person right now, what would you say?
Mm.
Um,
I'm just gonna
I-
say before you answer, your face said buckle up. That's what your face said. Your face said
okay.
Get
buckle up.
ready. Get ready for it.
Yeah, no, I had a chance to think about this one. I would encourage that person to take a good long look in their present life and where it's going, uh, and take some real time to really sit and think and examine that, and then ask yourself, is this what I truly want for the one life that I'm going to be given? Um, and if you're honest with yourself and you think that the life that you're living and the path that you're on is truly what you want, then more power to you. But if it's not, then one, that's okay, and that's a great thing to recognize. Um, two, oops, two, understand that it doesn't have to be this way, and three, start doing something about it.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, like I mean, I've spent my entire life kind of anxiously just going along with the motions, right? Um, and doing what everybody else says I should do, uh, and thinking that was just life. I people went to school, go to college, you get a job, you make money, and that was just that's what life was to me. Um, and so having the realization that it doesn't have to be that way, um, is huge. And so to take time and think about where you are and where you're going, and um, if you don't like it, Apogee is uh, an incredible roadmap full of skills and mentors and uh, support that um, doesn't tell you how or what to do with your life. They just empower you to build and create the life that you want to live. And I think um, that's so important. And a lot of people get stuck in the monotonous trap of um, what everybody calls life, and Apogee helps pull you out of that and build the relationships and find who you truly are and what you really want to live for. And the only requirement being to go out and handle the work involved to get it done.
Do the work.
Now I'm supposed to top that. So can I just say, so I can just say ditto? No, but
Yeah, you just go,
I,
yeah.
I don't know, Madison. I don't know. For just 1 second, okay? Do me a favor, okay? I would like you to put your hand on your belly and
That's
then
right.
look down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you top that. Like you top that. You
Yeah,
create
yeah.
life.
You win.
Whatever Curry said
some
Yeah.
is
credit.
not that. Like you top that. Like
You win.
just out of the box, you're creating life, and we're all talking about creating businesses and things. Well done. You topped
You
that
win.
Thank
a long time ago.
Well, I would say though to kind of emphasize what some of Curry said is that being honest with yourself, like what do you really want for your life, and if what you're currently doing is what like is what you want, I love that for you, But if it's not, I would encourage you um to take that leap on yourself, and because there's a risk in not doing something, and there's a risk in doing it. And so
Mm,
and that's kind of where we laid ourselves in this situation too, is that, well, there's a risk in opening, like uprooting our whole lives, selling everything and risking it all for this. There's also a greater risk in not doing it, and
mm,
the worst case scenario is that you can always pivot and change course. I think a lot of people think that the decisions they make in life are irreversible, and some kind of take longer to undo, but most decisions, you can change and you can fix. The worst thing is that it doesn't work like you thought it did, and you figure it out. But
mm.
just to kind of take that leap on yourself or for your family or whoever it is, because you all deserve it to live the life that you want and that makes you
Yeah.
happy. So
I'll say one more thing on top of that because Madison just reminded me. of it. And then I just lost it. It floated
Try and
away.
grab it.
Goodness gracious. That was crazy. Yeah, it just went away.
That's all right.
It comes back.
Well, I'll just say this. You guys are every bit the leaders that we want inside this entire movement, that we want to raise in our communities. This is without getting into the big, like, what are we doing in this country? What are we doing in this world? This is how, even if you don't believe this is how we save good humans and good families, it sure as heck is how we preserve it. It's people like you leading the way you are, man. So I love you both. I am just so dang proud. I'm so honored to be alongside you guys. I've got your six in any and every scenario, man, and I'm beyond grateful for the lives you're leading.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
Love both of you guys. It just
Yeah,
came back to me.
yeah, I
Come
knew
on.
it.
So when we were having the conversation about opening the school and everything, we knew that if we didn't do this and we put Everett, our 5-year-old, in public school, in Madison State in public school, the moment we do that, we could see how the rest of our lives is going to play out. It's like it's already written, you know,
Mm,
and it's you're jumping into that bucket. And
hmm
to give like a imagery, it's like I was standing on the edge, looking over, and like I'm not jumping in.
hmm
And the coolest part about it is it's made parenting and everything so much more exciting because now we have no clue what's in store for our family or for our 5-year-old. And
But dude,
the doors are wide open,
it's
and
so important.
it is. And so I did not, I did not want to take that step because I knew it's like, well,
Yep.
it's like I'm hanging up the cleats, you know, like life's pretty much done. You're just gonna coast. And that was so much more frightening to us than doing what we're doing now.
So important, man. If you can see the end of the book, you didn't write it. Like, that's it. You're not the one writing it. You guys decided you're gonna freaking write it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm glad
that's
you
it,
found
man.
that
So
thought. That was a good one.
listen,
You
Yeah,
found
thank you,
it.
thank you,
That was good.
that was a
thank
great
you,
one.
thank you.
Absolutely. I will tell you what, this has been a really fun ride for me. It's been
Oh,
very difficult for me to be anything but Liam's dad, who is, I'm just so proud we found you guys. Like that goes for Apogee, Utah, where we started, and now Apogee League City East, where I think we'll ride it all the way through with them. But I just I'm grateful because I'm raising a free and sovereign child.
mhm.
And I remember when he was little, really little, a friend of mine saying, "Hey, if you're raising your kid to be like a free man who's powerful, then how can he disagree with you?" And I didn't used to let him. I mean, I used to just, you just do what I say. And I'm like, wait a second, that's crazy. That's so I have to be, he's got to be he's got to be a servant to me and me, the dictator, but I'm going to train him to be free. That's nuts. No, that doesn't work. I need a new way. And I appreciate you guys in creating the educational piece and
Mm,
creating a place where he can go and have those values reinforced. Because really, the trick with all of this, with Apogee, with life, is how to be free and sovereign while also continue to allow everyone else to be free and sovereign and then managing ourselves that way. And that is the beauty of Apogee. And that's why we do this thing. And that's why we have this podcast to feature some of the coolest things happening in Apogee. So thank you for being here on this Stories from the Summit from Apogee Strong.
You
Thank you
guys,
guys.